Hi,
Hi,
Jill.
how are you, Michael?
Good. How are you today?
Good.
Good.
I haven't seen you in a few months.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Uh, well, I want to welcome you to our Cheese in Depth, and I'm very excited for you to be able to come in and play with us today. We got some fun cheeses to be able to taste, a little bit of pairing, maybe a little bit of drinking as we go along, whatever goes on.
absolutely.
Now I'm loaded up. I got some wine, I got some beer, I got some cider, kind of cover all the bases just in case. So, um,
Absolutely. Smart
um,
move.
so, those of you that are joining us, I want to introduce you to Jill Allen. She's the Director of Research and Development with Tillamook and a very good friend of mine. And I'm so happy that you're able to come in and play. So let's go ahead and get going. I'm going to turn it over to you, Jill.
Excellent. Well, Michael, thank you so much for having me and having Tillamook here today. I'm so excited to be showing four of our wonderful cheeses that are created in Tillamook. I've been with Tillamook 20 plus years, specializing in sensory and dairy products. And now I lead the research and development team for cheese and butter and spreads. And I couldn't be any more excited to share with you my absolute passion, which is cheese, with everyone today. Like I said, I work for Tillamook County. I am also a longtime resident here in Tillamook County. Tillamook is a wonderful creamery that's located on the Oregon coast. This year, with the challenges from COVID, Tillamook took the opportunity to make sure that all of our employees, our communities, and our industry partners are well taken care of during this time. And we've donated $4 million to the COVID-19 relief plan to make sure that our farmer member owners continue to produce the high quality milk that they are producing. It's shipping into our plants every single day, continue to make their wonderful cheese, making sure that our communities where our cheese is produced in, Tillamook County, Morrow County, that we are supporting those communities. And then where our co-manufacturer sites are and our offices. Right now, we are really making sure that Tillamook continues to produce wonderful, amazing products. I am so excited to share these with you. Tillamook is an independent and farmer-owned company with almost 80 family farming communities that are participate in our operation. We're focused on making investments in our long-term company for health, not for that short-term profit or gain. Tillamook has been here celebrating 110 plus years. With 5 different dairy portfolios, which includes cheese, butter and spreads, ice cream, cultured, which is yogurts and sour creams, and different whey products. The first cheese that we're going to taste today, and what I would like to do, Michael, is have an open conversation with you as we evaluate these cheeses, because really I'm going to walk you through some of the great pieces that really create this wonderful product through the make process, their tasting notes, and what they pair well with together. But our first cheese that we are pairing and looking at today is our, I don't know if you can see it from my slide, but it is our lovely 2015 white cheddar cheese. It's part of our Maker's Reserve line. And this lovely cheese today is produced back in 2015. It goes through an amazing process. I don't know if you can see it very well on my screen, but it goes through an amazing make process where we take the time to make each cheese the right way, which includes all the way from the beginning, getting the wonderful milk from our member owners, that we've taken the pledge to make sure all of our incoming milk is RBST free. We want to make sure that we are producing our cheeses with the highest dairy components. So we want to make sure that for our cheddars, we are producing a product that's going to be rich and creamy and that withstands up to time. So this product being 5 years old, It's the exact same recipe as our medium-aged cheddar cheese that you may purchase at the store. All the differences between the white medium and our 2015 is time. So putting it away in our cold storage and aging it with time. A piece that I'm very proud of to be part of this wonderful cheese is that our cheddars, not only do we make them with the highest quality ingredients, but we also make our own starter cultures, Michael. I don't know if you were aware of that, but it's something that we have been doing for 110 plus years now. And it's the basic old method of the backslopping process, which our cheesemakers, the best in the world, are pulling the waste starter from the previous day's cheese make, and they are using that as that starter media to grow our own starter for our cheddars day in and day out. So that is something that I'm very proud to be able to share with everybody, because it makes it really truly a unique Tillamook process. And these starter cultures cannot be replicated anywhere else in the world. So it's amazing that we are able to continue that process. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I was. We had talked about this before, you know, in a couple of the seminars. I remember at IDDBA how you explained the differences. And, you know, maybe we talk a little bit about what that actually means.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Michael, through the cheese make process, when our raw incoming milk comes to our plant, we treat it through a process called a heat shock. So we do not fully pasteurize our milks to produce our aged Maker's Reserve line cheese. And the reason is that with pasteurization, you know, you're going up to a typical pasteurization temperature of 161 for 15 seconds. For our heat shock process, we're gently bringing it up to anywhere between 154-ish for 15 seconds. And the reason that we really want to do this is to make sure that we are keeping the intact natural flavor enzymes that are natural to Tillamook, so that we can continue to produce that amazing, unique cheddar flavor that's only present in the world through our Tillamook cheddar cheeses. Through that, then when we create our own starter media, which is those wonderful cultures to turn those lactose into lactic acid, we are producing those on our own. So that takes time to be able to produce that. And then also the time and due diligence to make sure that we don't end up with a phage problem that a lot of cheesemakers can have issues with, because it's such a sensitive make process. Our starter room only allows a few unique individuals into there so that they can tend to the culture day in and day out, so that it continues to produce amazing cheddar cheeses for us.
So let's taste this first cheese then.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Michael, I'd love to hear what you paired with your cheeses today, but for the Makers 2015, I have paired a smoked, an Oregon smoked salmon, Oregon hazelnuts, dry, and some smoked honey, local smoked honey, and then some blood oranges for the cheese. And the reason I picked these pairings is, one, as we look for color just right off the bat, whenever we do a pairing, we want to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing, that it catches your eye, and it entices you to want to eat that product. But then also we want to make sure that it complements the cheese as well. So making sure that you have flavors that go well together, or flavors that totally contrast against the flavor. But everything that I have here really pairs and balances well with the flavor. And then the last component that I always like to make sure that I have is the textural component. I want to make sure that my foods have different either auditory responses, such as the crunch that we will get from the hazelnut, or the juiciness from the blood orange, and making sure that your cheese on a tasting board is still the true showpiece of that cheese board. And then Michael, of course, when we get to it for the finishing touch, I've also paired the Crystal Visions Sparkling Rosé Pinot Noir, which is created in Willamette Valley here in Oregon. So I'm really excited. I haven't tried this one yet, so I'll be trying it for the first time here, but I love the color. It's just a very light rosé color. So you ready to taste the product, Michael?
Yes. So for the first one, I really wanted to do something a little simple. It has a lot of tanginess. There's the lime that comes out of here. There's the wonderful butter, but there's also a nice saltiness that we get out of this cheddar, and I really love that. So I was thinking about what I was going to start with, and typically, you know, with this, a little bit of honey or a little bit of apple, but something that I discovered a little while ago is that a chocolate honey. And
oh, a chocolate honey, very nice.
I just wanted something kind of simple. I didn't want it to be overly complicated to start off with. And a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of honey together. This is a Savannah Bee whipped honey out of Georgia.
Nice. Don't you love how the cheese just, what we call shatters or breaks really quick? It has a quick snap to it. So you're going to get that aged textural profile. Maybe you'll find some tyrosine crystals in the body, some more of the auditory crunch. I want to hear how that whipped chocolate honey is on the cheese. I actually have a smoked honey on my cheese, Michael, and I will share with you how that tastes. I just love the sheen of the honey. It's a honey that has some clover notes to it, but then the natural smoke that's been added to it. So you have that salty, sweet note, smoky note to it.
Yeah, and I wanted to also start off with something a little lighter, and of course, you know, tying in a little bit of the apple. Is I have a nice little cider. You know that this is actually Cider Circus out of Tennessee. Nice little simple dry cider that adds a little bit of sweetness. But the chocolate, the cider, the honey, and the cheese is just amazing together.
It is, and you're spot on. What I really appreciate with this Maker's Reserve 2015 is you do pick up those citrus notes. I like to state that cheese is living and it's going to slightly change year over year. And these citrus notes that are in this 2015 pair very well with the blood orange citrus. You're able to really bring out the two complementary notes, but yet not have it where it's overly powerful, because you're going to have those buttery, creamy notes in your mouth, and it just all blends together. And I also love the two different textural components of the juiciness and then the firmer, creamy cheese.
Yeah, just the
So
cider
good.
you know, just do
Oh
really
my gosh.
together. You know, there's a lot of options that you have when pairing up. As a matter of fact, I have a really nice little lager here that is very cleansing, and that sometimes with the a large amount of butter that you have in here, which is very surprising that you would have this much intensity of butter along with the tanginess. You know, having the sweetness, but also a little bit of tartness, they just really play off each other. I get more butter, I get more fruit out of the cider.
And you know, one of the main reasons why it has that lovely buttery finish is all of our Tillamook Cheddars for our Makers line have the higher fat. So they're around that 36% fat note. This product has a lot of dairy fats and dairy solids in it. As you know, by the Code of Federal Regulations, you can have a cheddar cheese and sell it up to 39% moisture. Our cheddar cheeses, we are pushing less water activity, which means less bitter notes, which means more flavor because we have more fat and more dairy components in there, which means it's the exact same recipe that we're producing for our medium cheddar. We're just aging it for another 5 years for the 2015. And so we're not going to have those strong bitter notes because we have less water activity in the product. So we're very proud that our cheeses are of the highest dairy quality components.
You know, there's always that, I guess, misnomer that we hear about mild, sharp, extra sharp, seriously sharp, crazy sharp, and all of that. And
Right.
when you really look at this, the amount of aging and, of course, proper aging, the vintages here really show off that that beautiful tanginess that it has.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the lactic acid coming out as a lemon lime, but so clean citrus that it's truly a fabulous aged, lovingly aged cheese.
It really is, Michael. Once it's produced, it's tucked away in its original film, original corrugate in our standard 41.8 pound blocks. And there it sits until it's ready to be cut for our customers and consumers. We produce all of our makers in that 40-pound block size because we want to ensure that when cheese is produced, it's really hot when it's coming off our cheddar master and into our cheddar towers. We need to make sure that we cool that product down evenly and consistently so that the flavor and the texture is the same from the outside to the inside, because the inside takes the longest to cool down that 40-pound block. So we want to make sure that the whole entire chemistry is exactly the same. So no matter where we cut the block, what shape we cut the block into, it's going to be consistent for our consumers and customers. Michael, I'm going to also pair this 2015 with this lovely Pacific Northwest smoked salmon. It's going to help also just round out those real buttery notes, and then bring in another component of the smokiness to it.
You know, I was thinking about about, you know, the flavors that you're bringing here are part of the natural environment, the terroir of the environment that you're bringing in. You know,
Yes.
and it's so wonderful that Oregon has these great products that are indigenous to the area, that bring out the natural flavors. You know, you look at a lot of times things that are overgrown and you get the lack of flavor, where, you know, the time, the patience, the quality really brings out. You know, the wine that I have is a beautiful, you know, Pinot from Oregon, and it's just one of my favorite producers. And, you know, also what I love about that is protecting the streams, environmentally conscious about, you know, the runoff and all of the things that you guys do to also protect the environment. You want to move on to our next cheese, or?
I do, Michael, and thank you so much for letting me show the Maker's Reserve 2015. It's one of my favorites, so I'm definitely going to continue eating this after we're done here today.
Yeah, I have, this is my cocktail hour snack.
Oh, perfect. And you know, Michael, you made a very, very good point. Something else that we like to say in Tillamook is what grows together goes together. And we are so lucky that in Oregon, and even on the Oregon coast, we just have a bountiful opportunity of different products. Some of the next products I'm going to show you, I am so pleased that they're literally in my backyard. We have our 2012 Maker's Reserve. It's a light and fruity and nutty white cheddar cheese. It has an herbaceous notes with a pepper finish, which I really appreciate because you're able to do some really unique pairings with this. Once again, this product has aged with time, and the body is a little bit crumbly and it shatters, but yet when you masticate it, when you chew it, it becomes very velvety on the palate. And that reason is because of all those dairy components, those dairy fats, those dairy proteins. That's why it just turns into a luxurious blend of just wonderful goodness on your palate. What I paired with my 2012 today is some lovely Portland, I don't know if you see this very well, but Moonstruck chocolate, Moonstruck chocolate, dark. It's 68% cocoa, and it has a nice roasted notes with also a hint of fruit. And then topped with, literally made in my backyard, hand-harvested Jacobson sea salt. So then sprinkled that on top of the Moonstruck. And then also I have some lovely Oregon chocolate-covered hazelnuts. And then on one of the pieces of the 2012, I have dolloped a little bit of tart cherry on top of the white cheddar, because this 2012 has some tart, fruity notes that are on the sweet side, but yet they are encompassed by, you'll find very uniquely, some Parmesan cheese notes, with a little bit of sulfur, and then this big buttery note. So the 2012 is one of my favorite because it is amazing that it's so well balanced, but yet so many different flavors that have developed over the 8 years in this block of cheddar cheese. What have you paired with it today, Michael?
Well, I'm on the same direction as you are. I picked up some 70% dark chocolate, and I was really looking forward to this because, you know, chocolate, especially the dark chocolate with the slight bitterness to it. I don't want a lot of sugar here because the sugar and the salt will clash with each other, where when you're working with a little bit of this dark chocolate, that slight bitterness, and then you have that tanginess here, you really take out the bitterness from the chocolate and it becomes sweet, and the tanginess of the cheese drops down and the butter comes out. So you taste a buttery chocolate when you put those two together.
Oh my God. It literally makes me smile because it is that good. It is amazing. Absolutely stunning. And this chocolate is produced in Portland. The sea salt here is produced off the Tillamook Bay here. And in the Tillamook makers cheddar here in Tillamook. So it's an amazing pairing. So good, so luxurious.
And, you know, wine-wise, a little bit of Pinot Noir and chocolate and the cheese. To me, that's just simple. And you really get that really fun richness, the butter, the taking out the tanginess. And that's, I think, where a lot of people think, well, it could be overwhelming. But that's important that you stay with a chocolate that is more higher in the cocoa, like a 60 to 70%, because you really don't want any of those sugars, that sweetness, to try to override, because then you have the opposite of making the cheese more tangy, where you don't really need that. And then when you're pairing it with the wine, especially with this wonderful fruit that we have, because this is fruit forward, you know, chocolate, butter, and fruit forward Pinot Noir.
I gotta show you what I paired with mine. Another amazing company, and literally here in my backyard. It's my hometown brew pub, Pelican Brewing, and it's their Tsunami Export Stout. And what I love about this is the color is stunning. It's an opaque black. It's dense and creamy. Pours an amazing head on it, and it has the dark chocolate notes, Michael, and just a really round, velvety finish. So instead of the Moonstruck chocolate, I paired the 2012 with the Tsunami Stout. So a chocolate forward stout. So this is, to me, very Oregon coast. So I'm very, very proud to share this today too. Well, so good.
When we talked about it before, One of my favorite, all-time favorite beers in the world is Rogue Ale's Shakespeare Oatmeal Stout. Just one of my, it's always been a go-to for the longest time. And that's what I really wanted to have today. But unfortunately, in 3 places, they didn't have one single Rogue product.
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
wow.
This breaks my heart because that would be something really fun to be able to play with today. But instead, I got a nice bonus of opening up a nice Pinot Noir instead. So I'm okay with that, you know, but I agree with you that it's stuck. Now, I do have a cookies and cream stout, but that goes so far over the top that that may not. And then I looked at in my refrigerator, I have a smoked porter from Alaskan and thinking, but you know, that's sitting by a fire and having charcuterie.
Well, if you have not tried this tsunami stout, I mean, it's literally born on the beach. It is born here in Pacific City, and you know, it's just a few miles away from me here. Amazing product. So if you come here to Tillamook, Michael will have to hook you up. Another pairing that I did for the 2012 to really even bring out some of those, we just stated earlier, not too sweet, but a tart cherry on top of the 2012. So I really want to pull out a balanced tart note, little hint of sweetness, but really pulling out those cherry notes that are actually also present in the 2012.
There's just so much richness in this cheddar. It's truly amazing the amount of richness that you get from it. They're very different though. You know, just the years that you have between them. I was expecting the older cheese to have more acidity, to be more stronger in the tanginess, to be extra sharp. But in reality, the butters really come out on this. It's got a really great balance between the butter and the tanginess. And I would swear that this was like a bandage strap because there's a little hint of earthiness that kind of, I think, does really well with the dark chocolate.
It really does, Michael. And once again, it's the exact same recipe that we make for our 60-day-old medium white cheddars. And it's just put away for another 8 years, aged with time. We age our product very slowly. Around 43 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit in our very own warehouse here. It's located a few miles away from me as well. And this product, what I really love about it is how many crystals have just developed within the paste of the cheese. So all those are wonderful amino acid crystals, tyrosine crystals that have developed within the paste. So you get that auditory crunch, but then that flavor burst. And for me, that makes food really exciting to eat when it's just, you know, it's not just pretty, but it tastes amazing. The texture components are amazing to it. And so you can just make any dish, whether it be a topper, so putting it on top of an amazing risotto where you get a little bit of crunch and finish, and adding that little bit of buttery, Parmesan, salty note on top. Or if you're actually folding it into an Alfredo sauce, it's going to go pair with a wonderful seafood. That's always amazing. That's what I personally like to do with this product. Besides just making wonderful cheese boards with the 2012.
Yeah, that's, you know, something that we get asked a lot that you might want to just mention is that crunchiness, that calcium lactate.
So that's a very good point, Michael. I'd like to actually go into a little bit is when our cheddars are made from that same recipe, we have a very low moisture content within our product so that we can properly age it out to 10 plus years. So we have less water activity. that cheddar cheese, as it slowly ages in its original film that it's packaged into, that 40-pound block, some of the serum starts to extract out of the body of the cheese as those proteins and fats start to break down. I like to call that the angel share, because once that bag's ripped open and you have about a 5% loss of moisture as this product gets older and older, it's going to hit the ground. It's the angel share. So it creates that texture of being really short and dry, and it produces those tyrosine crystals inside the body. And then sometimes you'll find the calcium lactate crystals on the outside, the rind of the cheese as it ages as well. So if you're in the store, you see some of that natural salts that have extracted out on the outside. That's the calcium lactate, perfectly fine. And then inside, you should be able to find some of those wonderful tyrosine amino acid crystals inside the body. I just can't get enough of this Tsunami Stout with the 2012. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So creamy, so velvety, and the chocolate just pops with it.
I know the feeling. The Pinot Noir and the chocolate, the cheese, they just all work really well together. I'm kind of the simplistic. I like simple pairings. A lot of times when I'm trying to teach beer pairings, wine pairings, cider, spirits, the simplicity sometimes is the way to bring out how they work together, you know.
Absolutely.
But I have to say, I have one coming up that I'm loading up like a burger.
Oh, I'm so excited. So the next one is, the Cape Mears, one of my absolute favorites. This is aged to a minimum of 12 months of age. It's a new culture that was formulated proprietary for Tillamook, but it's amazing because it's a blend of the meso and the thermal cultures. The last two cheddars we had are made with the meso culture, but this one, with it having the blend, it's a little bit higher cook temp than our meso-loving, middle-loving cultures for our other makers. This is a little bit higher cook temp, so thus it also has a little bit short, drier body and texture. And it has got a wonderful, just sweet undertones, brilliant nutty notes to it. And if you think of our Makers line as more of a complex savory line, our Cape Mears is on that sweeter profile. And it's not overpowering sweet, but it's just a very lovely, well-balanced, sweet cheddar. What I like to see with this product is it to be very clean, very buttery, be able to pick up those milky notes to it. And then what I've done today is I really wanted to highlight those sweet notes. So I've paired it with a local honeycomb here. So I love the textural components of a honeycomb versus just a standard honey, because you're going to have a little bit of that tackiness to the honeycomb, a little bit of that slight delicate crunch as you start to masticate, and bring in the creamy velvety goodness of the Cape Mears. And then I also have added some honeycomb chocolate, and then another wonderful product that is also produced in Portland here in my backyard is Olympia Provisions chorizo. So looking for, has a little bit of that black pepper in it. So really pulling out, going against the sweetness with a little bit of peppery note. So I'm really excited about this pairing. And then this one, Michael, I paired it with the Pinot Noir today. And this is absolutely my favorite Pinot Noir. It is produced in the Willamette Valley. It's King Estate. I don't know if you can see the label very well with the lighting here, but it's a 2016. And I just love how it's just got this brilliant dark garnet color. And then it has these well-rounded cherry notes that go into strawberry and raspberry, and then finish with a little bit of black tea finish with the vanilla. So it really pulls out, has all these complex flavor notes, but the tannins are so incredibly low that you don't get that bitter mouthfeel to it or astringency. So it pairs extremely well with our Cape Mears because it has that blend of the meso and thermophilic cultures that also keep a very mild profile. So you're not going to be able to pick up any of those bitter notes within this cheese. It's going to be on that sweeter side. What did you pair it with today, Michael? I'm excited to hear.
Well, you know, first thing is that I agree with you about Cape Mears. I adore this cheese. There's just so much that I love about it. It's not as salty, it's not as tangy, but it's got a big range of flavors, and it has, again, that slight little bit of earthiness that works out really well. So what I decided to do with this is I wanted, again, keeping it simple to me, and I got myself some apples. I got a little red apple here with a little piece of cheese, but you know, everybody knows that apples and that go together, and so you get a kind of like a pretty standard flavor characteristic out of that. So what I would want to do is either add a little bit of honey to this. There we go. Apple pie, and I can do that with an Effie's nut cake. This is a pecan cake, and so you get the flavor of the apple, you get the flavor of the cheese, and then you get like crust of an apple pie together.
And you have that lovely combination of just different textural components. I would love to hear how it tastes. How does it taste?
It's like an apple pie. It's just all those flavors, the cheddar on top, the crunchiness, the balance of the cheddar here. So when I was thinking about this, that there's so much flavor here that what I need is my palate is a little overwhelmed because there's so much going on. So what I thought, I need a lager, you know. So
there you go.
Yeah, so I have a local lager. This is Cigar City, their Tampa style lager, and its job is to clean my palate. It's to take the intensity that I have here, clean it off, and then get ready to start all over again.
I love that, Michael. And you know, this cheese is a big piece of my heart as well. I had the opportunity to bring this idea back when I've been judging for the International Cheese Awards for several years now alongside you. And I was looking at the English style cheddars there and how they encompassed these different cultures that really helped produce those sweeter profiles. So I worked with our head cheesemaker, Dylan Baumgartner, who I learned so much from, and he's since retired, but it was an amazing project to develop this cheddar cheese with him, and just learning so much about the cheddar make process, and really how can we turn this idea of these English style sweet cultured cheddars into really a Tillamook sweet cheddar. It still goes through our standard heat shock process. It's made with our proprietary starter cultures, and then we add in those secondary adjunct flavor cultures to produce this wonderful Cape Mears cheddar, which I also want to state, I love to walk out on the beach by Cape Mears. I go out there very often. I can see it from behind my house. So it means a lot that not only was this idea created with our head cheesemaker here in Tillamook, but also that Cape Mears is literally in our backyard. So being able to bring a piece of our heritage into our cheddar is also very important for the farmer member owners, the community members, because we are very proud to live here and very proud to produce this cheddar cheese.
Well, isn't this a new cheddar for you?
It is. It's our newest cheddar for Tillamook. Yes. So, and it took a couple of years to design into, of course, you know, cheese takes time to age, right? So this cheese, it's really in its prime sweet spot, as you might say, between the 12 to 15 month mark. And when you're developing cheese and something doesn't quite go right, sometimes you have a year before you find that out. But we do lots of taste testings within research and development and the sensory team and the operations team. And with us being cheese experts, we kind of know when something doesn't quite go in the right direction, even after a few months of age. So it was a really exciting project to work on with Dale and the Tillamook team.
You know, you have one of the funnest jobs in the world because you get to play, taste, and develop cheeses as an everyday event.
I know, it's absolutely, I'm just honestly so blessed to work for Tillamook. I couldn't imagine working for a company that the members, the owners, the employees, everybody has heart for the brand, for our communities, for our products. And, you know, living here in Tillamook, I was born here as well. You see all the children that are from these farmer families grow up in front of you. And for them to be able then to take on the legacy of their family farms is just extremely, just very prideful for the community. And it's something that, you know, Tillamook really wants to make sure that this will continue for years and years, another 110 years. So I'm really proud to work for Tillamook and continue to work with a wonderful team that builds amazing products.
You know, I was talking with a cheesemaker out of Petaluma, California, and her and her sisters grew up in wine country. So their friends at high school and all that were all in the wine business. The parents owned vineyards. And so growing up, these iconic brands that you know, or, you know, it's like, oh no, that's blah, blah, these are real, you know, and all that. And so I was just thinking that, you know, your kids, all that, growing up with all those different farmers, you know, year after year, you know, I mean, generation after generation. That's got to be amazing.
It is, Michael. And my family also has a dairy farm. So my children, they work on the farm, they play on the farm. So we've been very blessed that during all of this that they're at home at school, but then they're also able to go be on the farm and play with their cows. Something else that's very, I just find a lot of pride in is in the front of our new visitor center here that's located in Tillamook. You'll see when you go to the entrance is a beautiful picture of a beautiful Jersey cow. And that Jersey cow is actually one of our member owners' jerseys, and I believe it was a Jersey Jug fraternity winner with Royalty Ridge jerseys. And so it's really exciting that all of these photos that you see are really part of who we are. And so it's just really neat to be able to say like, oh no, that jersey produces milk for Tillamook cheddar cheese.
That's just so cool to be able to have, you know, that relationship. And that really says a story about Tillamook and who you work for and the people that are there. Everybody that is in that community has that stake of working together and being able to have that pride, and, you know, just coming to work and seeing that cow is just, you know, got to make your heart sing.
Oh, it does, because she's really truly a Tillamook County Jersey cow that's producing milk for our cheese and our ice creams and all of our other wonderful dairy products. So it's very exciting, and it means a lot for everybody that puts in so much time and effort into the brand, into the product. And then just so many amazing people. Our culture here at Tillamook is just, it's so unique that it's everybody cares so much about producing, you know, some of the best product in the world. And everybody from, you know, the cheesemakers to the individuals on the packaging line, they're making sure that it is done right 365 days a year, and making sure that as we create new products that we do right by every bite, every time.
Yeah. So
So
on to our next.
yes. Well, our next one is our Tillamook smoked medium cheddar cheese. It's aged over 60 days of age, and that is because it's a heat shock product. So by law, we have to age it for a minimum of 60 days, and after it passes all of our strict quality guidelines, we're able to cut it and smoke it. We cold smoke it for a minimum of 6 hours in the hardwood hickory smoke. It's very rich. That cold smoke penetration creates a beautiful golden rind, beautiful waffle pattern on one side. And so not only is it very aesthetically pleasing, but it has a wonderful hickory smoke that doesn't take away from the buttery cheddar profile that you get from our classic yellow Tillamook cheddar. We add annatto to this cheddar. It's the same recipe as our white cheddar. It just only has the annatto for a little bit of a golden hue to it. And then we cold smoke this product with the hardwood hickory smoke. Today I have paired it. Let's see if I can show you my cheese board. I paired it today with Washington Coast smoked oysters, so another smoked pairing. I pair it with green apples, so something a little bit tart, fresh, to really bring out the butteriness and the smoke of the Tillamook cheddar, and then some Italian green olives that are a little bit salty to help round out more of a savory cheese board today. And then today what I paired it with for my spirit, which I'm really excited about, is another Willamette Valley. It's a Chardonnay, and it's made by Willamette Valley Vineyards, and it's a 2016. And what I like about this is that it just has a really crisp finish, a little bit of the oakiness, and it has some of those baking spice notes to it, so it complements very well. Same thing, you were talking about apple pie earlier. So taking the smoked cheddar cheese with some of the baking spice notes that you can pull out of the Chardonnay creates a very unique flavor profile that is also produced here in Oregon. What did you pair it with, Michael?
Well, that this pairs with spirits, with bourbon, with rums, and you know, that kind of style. I'm gonna kind of defer this to a little bit of Rogue Ales. Their spirit, they do a rum. It's actually a hazelnut spiced rum, and
wow.
I thought, you know, if you know, not everything has to be a food pairing. I honestly believe that. I've been in the beverage industry for 25 years and love that. But the smoke, the cheddar, and this hazelnut rum from Rogue, you know, is, oh my God, so crazy.
I'm gonna have to try that, Michael. I really am. That sounds amazing. I'm very happy today with my smoked medium cheddar with the Willamette Valley Dijon clone because it just really comes together with a balancing acidity to both, and then you get the pop of the smoke. So it's also very fun pairing.
The smokiness is very enriched. You know, it gives you that meat kind of quality of smokiness.
It does.
It's very, very meaty. You know, this is you know, growing up in the Midwest, this is a summer sausage with cheese. You know, it's just got that magnificent sweetness, almost you know, an indulgence of you know, just craziness of being so rich, and
Yes.
wanting to kind of tame it a little bit. But, you know, this is just on its own. Just
Oh,
it's like combining all the best things together, a salami or a sausage and the cheddar cheese and you know, being mild. There's a nice amount of butter, very little saltiness, and so you know, the rum can be, you know, obviously that higher level of alcohol, but when you put these together, it actually turns the rum into a sweet vanilla and with
oh,
butter. So you get a hazelnut, buttered, vanilla, smoky pairing.
oh, this sounds amazing. But you made a very good point, Michael. One of the cheesemongers that I was talking to a few months ago happened to be a vegetarian, and she asked me, you know, I know that this product is vegetarian, and she said, what do you think of it as a meat alternative? And I said, oh, I think it'd be fantastic. To your point, it tastes like a smoked meat. And she said, exactly. She said, I use it in replacement of a smoked salmon, of smoked meat. So she uses that as her smoked meat substitute. She said she loves it. Are the cheddars that I've shown you, we produce that with a natural FPC enzyme, so the fermented pepsin chymosin, produced chymosin. So it's vegetarian approved, and that's how we are able to then still maintain that it's vegetarian, safe cheddar cheese to eat, but yet you're still being able to taste that smoky meat quality, and it's amazing product, and it's cold smoked back in cold storage, and when you walk back there, the hickory smoke is just amazing. It's so clean. It doesn't have any sooty characteristics to it. So sometimes, you know, you get a smoked cheese, it's kind of got that real strong ashy note or sooty note. But our hickory is just a very sweet profile, and it really draws you into wanting to eat more.
We're talking. I dug out the honey, the Savannah Bee honey, an
Yes,
apple
yes.
slice, and the smoked cheddar, dipping it into there, and then taking a sip of the hazelnut rum. Uh,
Oh my goodness.
life is complete.
Life is complete. Oh, well, I think that you won this pairing challenge, Michael, but next time I'm going to have to think of some wild cards that I can take you up on that win. But I'm going to pair really quickly the Washington smoked oyster with, so it's a double smoke here that I'm going to do with the Tillamook smoked medium cheddar. I just love Oregon and Washington coast oysters, whether they be smoked or raw, but with that buttery cheddar cheese, it's just going to be able to just melt within your mouth and have those wonderful smoky qualities. So good. Truly a piece of the Oregon coast, Washington coast, Pacific coast here. Wonderful. I love oysters Rockefeller with the twist of putting either, I like a little bit of more age on my products, either 2012 or 2015 on top of those oysters on the half shell. But honestly, the Cape Mears and smoked medium work beautifully as well. But that's always one of my favorite summertime go-to food items is the oyster on the half shell with a little bit of Tillamook cheese on top.
Amazing. You know, it's always fun to be able to try different things. Everybody's palate's a little different. You're going to find things that work for you, that may not work for you, that may work for somebody else. But trying these different things together, you know, a smoked oyster and a smoked cheese is probably a little much for me because that's just so much. But you know what? I don't see anything wrong with that. You know,
No,
I love smoked oysters, and they're local, so they got to be just amazing.
They're absolutely amazing. But that's a great point, Michael, is that's, you know, why you and I are both foodies and we love cheese so much is think it's so much fun to bring your family, your friends together, try out different pairings, see what you like, see what just amazes you and has what I call it that wow factor. When you're like, oh my goodness, you have to try this. Or remember we were at Michael's house and we paired it with the King Estate Pinot Noir, but just it makes your memories that much more memorable. And it's just something that, you know, I'm so proud to share Tillamook products with anyone that I meet. And so I just had the best time with you today. And I mean, we can talk about cheese and pairings all day, Michael, but I just really want to thank you so much for having me, for having Tillamook today, and being able to share these 4 amazing cheddar cheeses with you, everywhere from an age of 60 days all the way up to 8 years. And it's the exact same recipe. It's the same quality and attention to detail that goes into the make process, the curating of all the raw ingredients, the consistency and the quality of the milk that's coming into our plants to produce these cheddars. And everybody is just so proud. So thank you so much for letting me share this today and having a really good time with you.
Thanks. It's the feelings mutual. You know, I wish we would have had a little more time for some questions, but the questions are very detailed and involved, and we'd be here for another hour explaining them. I love you guys for asking questions and I sincerely apologize for us not being able to have the time to get to them. But you can reach out to Jill directly, and or you can reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me. I know how to get a hold of her. So reach out to me. I'll reach out to her, and she'll get you a personal response to your questions there. So we'll get that taken care of. So Jill, thank you so much for coming out. It's been quite a pleasure being able to come out and play and to have all these cheeses, and you know, starting off my Monday at 5 o'clock, I've already got my cocktails going and I already got my cheeses, so wahoo.
I know, and you know what? If you have more time, I would love to join you again with another flight, because I have an idea of many other local spirits that we could pair with, other specialty cheeses that we have that we never even got to today. So anytime, thank you.
All right, we're going to set a date in June. I'm going to get with you, and we're going to do this again in June.
Perfect, perfect.
Right.
I'm excited. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.